The seventh day is over. Now we come to the closing part of the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. There are quite a few questions left. Let us see if we find some time for it. Chatusacca Pabbam, the section of 4 Noble Truths. Punacha parang bhikkhave bhikkhu dhambe sudhamma passi viharati chatusu arya satchesu. Then another bhikshu practices Dhammanupasana by observing the 4 Noble Truths. Kathanchapana bhikkhave bhikkhu dhamme sudhammanupassi viharati chatusu arya satchesu. How? Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu idam dukkhanti yatha bhutam pajanati. Idam dukkham. This is suffering. One understands it as it is. Ayam dukkha samudayoti. This is the arising of the suffering. One understands it as it is. Ayam dukkha nirodhoti yatha bhutam pajanati. This is the total eradication of misery, and this one understands as it is. Ayam dukkha nirodhagamini patipadati yatha bhutam pajanati. And this is the path which leads us to the stage of total cessation of misery. A very important thing to understand is yatha bhutam pajanati. Pajanati is to understand in wisdom. Yatha bhutam, as it is, as it happens. As it happens, so you understand. As it happens, so you understand. That means you understand by things happening, that means by your experience, by your direct experience. You have direct experience of all these 4 Noble Truths, and as you experience them, so you understand them as it is, as it is. When Buddha became Buddha, and he gave the first sermon, this is what he taught, these 4 Noble Truths. The understanding of the people of India, for them it was not something new, that suffering is because of craving. This was not a discovery of Buddha. People knew it. And also people knew that to come out of misery is to come out of your craving. Not a unknown path shown by Buddha. Then what it was, how it differed. He makes it very clear. The 4 Noble Truths. This is misery. Everybody who suffers understands this is misery. Around the world, everyone is suffering. But by suffering, one does not become an enlightened person. One does not become an Arya, cannot become a noble. Noble person is a person who experiences at least the first stage of Nibbana. Sotapanna is a noble person. From Anaryo, he has become Aryo. Non-Aryan, he has become an Aryan. From ignoble person, he has become a noble person. People are suffering all around and they know that we are suffering. Then how it becomes Arya Satya? For all these four, he says, for each of these, three things are necessary. Three pertaining to each, that means 12 in all, is necessary to become a noble person. What three in each? Like the first, this is suffering. This is what everybody can understand, this is suffering. Then the second part of it, second stage of it. Parinyeyam. This suffering, this truth of suffering, I must understand the entire field of the truth of suffering. I must understand the every aspect of suffering, the totality of suffering. Parinyeyam. Now we have come across this word parijanati. One understands the totality, the entire sphere. We were talking about Vedana, Visampajanyam. One understands the entire field of Vedana. And how can you say that one has understood the entire field of Vedana? That one has explored the entire field of Vedana? Only when one transcends the field of Vedana. Otherwise, there might be some other field still balanced, there might be some other field still balanced, which one has not yet explored. So, parijanata means to explore the total field up to its limit. So, here also for dukkha, for misery, one has to explore the entire field of dukkha. This is the second step of it. And this third step should be parinyata. Oh, I have explored the total field of dukkha. That means one has experienced the stage beyond dukkha. Then it is Arya. Understand, although at a surface level these are four, but as you go deeper, they all culminate in one. Like this Satipatthana are four, but as you go deeper, all the four get together. Similarly, these four noble truths, even the first noble truth, must take you to the stage where there is no more dukkha. Then only you can say parinyata. I have explored the entire field of dukkha. One must go beyond dukkha, then only one can claim I have explored the entire field of dukkha. So three of these. And the next, samudaya, the arising, or as we say, the cause. The second part of it is pahatabbu. This should be totally eradicated. The arising of dukkha, that means the cause of dukkha, should be totally eradicated. And the third, I have totally eradicated. It is totally eradicated, pahinam. That then only the second noble truth is complete in itself. And again, if totally eradicated, then is the stage of final liberation. Merely accepting something at the intellectual level is not the contribution of a Buddha that is there, Buddha or no Buddha. People understand at least these basic principles of Dhamma. They understand. Because there had been previously Buddhas, and for long time, the practice goes away, the deeper aspect goes away, but the surface things do remain. People talk about it, discuss about it, they write books about it, but they don't practice because practice is lost. Again, somebody becomes Buddha and he establishes the practice of it. That is the contribution of Buddha. So the craving is there, one part of it. The craving should be totally eradicated, second part of it. The craving is totally eradicated. Then the third, dukkha nirodha, the cessation of misery. A stage where there is no more misery. The second aspect of it, second part of it. Satchikatabbo. This has to be witnessed. This has to be realized. Merely accepting that there is a stage where there is no more misery. There is a stage of full liberation because Buddha said so, because our tradition says so, and because our intellect says so. After all, if there is a cause and the cause is removed, then naturally one is free from misery, or there is no more misery. No. Satchikatabbo. You have to witness it, experience it. And satchikatang, witnessed. Then only it is complete, witnessed. Similarly, the fourth, the path, bhavitabbo, it has to be practiced. Merely accepting the fact there is a path, and look, eightfold path, like this, you keep on discussing, you keep on explaining others, you keep on writing books on that, you keep on arguing, debating, but you don't take one step on it, so it's meaningless for you. Bhavitabbo, it has to be practiced repeatedly. Bhavitang, I have completely walked on this path. Repeatedly I have practiced to its entirety, complete practice. These three, each four of them, in these three ways, if it is complete, he says, then only I am announcing myself an enlightened person. Those five of his friends to whom he went and explained what Dhamma is, those people were not prepared to listen even initially. Because the belief in those days was that somebody must pass through extreme penances. And if one cannot pass through extreme penances, this person can never get liberated. And here was this person. After getting 8 jhanas, then he started these penances to such an extent that his body remained just a skeleton. He became so weak that he can't take even 2 steps. He falls down, fasting, torturing the body in different ways. And he had practiced 8 jhanas, so he could see things inside, in his mind. And he finds it doesn't change even a slight part of it. The mind remains, the deeper impurities remain as they are. No change is there. So it's a futile exercise. He left it. Let me find out some other way. And when he left it as futile exercise, then these 5 of his companions, they felt this person can never become enlightened. He has now started taking food. He cannot torture himself further. So they were not prepared to listen to him. They can't accept that this person has become enlightened. To convince them, he says, well, look, these 4 things which are acceptable, I have witnessed that in this way. And then they at least listen to him, and he gives them the explanation of the whole Dhamma. So unless these 4 noble truths are experienced yatha bhuta pajanati, as it happens. So you know, as it happens. So you know. If it has not happened, and you say, I know, then it is mere acceptance at the intellectual level or an acceptance at the devotional level, because Buddha has said so, so and so has said so, and I will get faith in this person. It doesn't work. Yatha bhuta, as it happens. So you know with wisdom and experiential wisdom. And then he gives descriptions. Katamancha bhikkhave dukkham ariya satyam. What is the dukkha? Ariya satya, noble truth of dukkha. Jati pi dukkha, the birth is dukkha. Jara pi dukkha, the old age is dukkha. Vyadhi pi dukkha, disease is dukkha. Maranam pi dukkham, death is dukkha. Shok, mental grief. Paridev, crying, lamenting. Dukkha, bodily pains, bodily unpleasant sensations. Domanasam, mental unpleasantness. Upayasa, feeling full of grief. Pi dukkha, this is dukkha. Then appiyehi sampayogo dukkho. Whatever is unpleasant, undesirable, one gets associated with it. This is misery. Piyehi vipayogo dukkho. What is desirable, what is pleasant, one gets disassociated with it. This is dukkha. Look, he is going from a very surface level, gross level. Each very ordinary person can understand, being experiencing, and then goes towards the subtler realities. Yampi ichchangane labati. Whatever one desires, whatever one craves for, ne labati. When one doesn't get it, tampi dukkham. One doesn't get what one desires, and one becomes very miserable. And going still further, sankhitena, at a much deeper level. At a much deeper level, and in short, the dukkha is panch upadan khanda dukkha. These 5 aggregates, which are the object of clinging. The clinging towards these 5 aggregates, the mental aggregate and the 4 mental aggregates and 1 material aggregate, the combination of which one says I, mine, and develops tremendous amount of attachment to it. Oh, this is misery. Going from the surface to deeper. This is dukkha. And then he explains each one of them. Katamati bhikkhave jati, yate sang sattanang tamahi sattanikaye, jati sanjati ukkanti abhinibbatti khandanang patubhavu ayatananang patilabhu ayangabucchati bhikkhave jati. Synonyms of birth. Then katama cha bhikkhave jara, yate sang sattanang tamahi sattanikaye jara. Then the synonyms jiranata, khandichang, palichang, valittachatta, ayuno sanghani, indriyanang paripaku ayangabucchate bhikkhave jara. This is old age, decaying. Katamancha bhikkhave maranang. And what is death? Yete sang sattanang tamaha sattanikaya. And then the synonyms of death: chuti, chavanata, bhedu, antaradhanang, machu, maranang, kalakiriya, khandanang bhedu, kalevaras sanikhepu, jivit indriyas supachhedu. The different words that were used in those days. He uses those words to explain what is death. Idangabucchati bhikkhave maranang. Katamo cha bhikkhave soko. What is a deep mental grief? Yoko bhikkhave anyattaranyattarena vyasanena samannagatasya anyatra anyattarena dukkha dhammena puttasya soko sochana sochitattam anto soko anto parisoko ayangabucchati bhikkhave soko. One has lost something which is very dear, and due to that one faces grief, very deep grief. Katamocha bhikkhave paridevu. And what is this crying and lamenting? Yoko bhikkhave anyattaranyattarena vyasanena samannagatasya anyattaranyattarena dukkha dhammena puttasya adevu paridevu adevana paridevana adevi tattam paridevi tattam ayangabucchate bhikkhave paridevu. Now this crying and lamenting, the synonyms for that. Katamancha bhikkhave dukkham. And what is dukkham? Yanko bhikkhave kayikam dukkham. Kayikam aisatang. Kaya sampassajang dukkham aisatang vedayatang. Idang bucchati bhikkhave dukkham. Whatever unpleasant, painful sensation one experiences on the body, this is dukkha. Katamancha bhikkhave dhomanassang. And what is dhomanassang? Yanko bhikkhave chetisang dukkhang chetisang asatang mano sampassajang dukkhang asatang vedayatang idang vucchate bhikkhave dhomanassang. Whatever is mental unpleasant feeling is dhomanassang. Now one point should be understood very clearly, that in his teachings about pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, not only here, at different places he has given this explanation, that when he says dukkham, it is the unpleasant sensation on the body. When he says do manassang, then mana, something that has come on the mind, very unpleasant. A very unpleasant thought has come, a very unpleasant memory has come, a very unpleasant fear for the future has come. This kind of unpleasant experience that comes on the mind, unpleasant feeling that comes on the mind, is the word is used do manassang. Similarly, for pleasant sensation on the body is sukha, sukham. And pleasant feeling of the mind is somanassang. And we had just covered recently this. Vedana, Vedananupassana. There the words somanassa, domanassa are not used. Dukkha Vedana, Sukha Vedana. That is why so much importance is given in this tradition to the body sensations, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Of course, mind is remained, but what is the object of meditation? The object of meditation is dukkha vedana, sukha vedana, not domanassa, somanassa. Therefore, body becomes so important, and we feel the sensations throughout the body. Katamo bhikkhave upayasu yoko bhikkhave anyatra anyattarena vyasanena samannagatasya anyatra anyattarena dukkha dhammena puttasya ayasu upayasu ayasi tattam ayangabucchate bhikkhave upayasu. Lot of mental grief. Katamo bhikkhave appiyehi sampayogo dukkho. And what is the disassociation of the pleasant ones? Idhayassate hunti anittha akanta amanapa rupa saddha gandha rasa photabba dhamma yeva panassane te hunti anathakama ahitakama aphasukakama ayogakhema yate hi sadding sangati samagamo samudhanam missibhavu ayangabucchate bhikkhave appiyehi sampayogo dukkho. All that related to these objects of the sense organs, the rupa, the vision, color, light, saddha, the sound, gandha, the smell, rasa, the taste, photabha, the touch, dhamma, the thought, all those unpleasant things when one comes in contact is appiyehi sampayogo dukkho. Katame cha bhikkhave piyehi vippayogo dukkho. And what is the disassociation of the desired ones? Idhyasate hunti ittha kanta manapa rupa saddha gandha rasa photabha dhamma. Whatever one feels pleasant at the level of these 6 objects, yeva panasate hunti atthakama hitakama phasukakama yogakhema kama matava pitava bhatava bhaganiva mittava amachava Jnati salohitava yate hi saddhing asangati asamagamu asamudhamang amissibhavu. All those who are so dear, like the mother, father, brother, sister, friend, etc. And when you miss them, ayang vucchate bhikkhave piyehi vippayogo dukkho. This is the disassociation of the dear ones, the pleasant ones, and the dukkha, resultant dukkha. Katamancha bhikkhave yampi ichchanga labati tampi dukkhang. And what is the dukkha which comes because of the desires not being fulfilled? Jati dhammanang bhikkhave sattanang evang ichcha uppajjati. Ahovat mayang na jati dhamma assame na chaivat no jati agaccheyati. Someone develops a desire that this taking birth again and again is a great misery. I don't like this, I want to come out of it. May there be no more birth for me. Nakho panetang ichchaya pattabbang. But one does not reach the stage where one comes out of all the births. And because of that, idampi yampi ichchanga labati tampi dukkhang. Because this desire is not fulfilled, one becomes very miserable. And then, jara dhammanang bhikkhave sattanang evang ichcha uppajjati. Regarding this nature of old age, a desire arises. Aho vatamayang na jara dhamma assame. It is better that I don't get old. Nacha vatano jara agaccheya. May the old age do not come. Nakho panetang ichchaya pattabbang. This desire is not fulfilled. Idampi yampi ichchangana labati tampi dukkhang. One becomes miserable when this desire is not fulfilled. Vyadhi dhammanang bhikkhave sattanang evang ichcha uppajjati. About the disease, illness, a desire arises. Aho vatamayang na vyadhi dhamma assame. One wants that there should not be any illness. Nache vatano vyadhi agaccheya. May no illness come to me. Nakho panetang ichchaya pattabbang. This desire is not fulfilled. Idampi yampi changana labati tampi dukkhang. This also, the desire not being fulfilled, is a dukkha. Then marana dhammanang bhikkhave sattanang evang ichcha uppajjati. Then about the death, the law of death, the nature of death. Such desire arises. Aho vatamayang na marana dhamma assame. Oh, I may not get death. One desires to be free from death. Nacha vatano maranang agaccheya. May I not reach the stage of death. Nakho panetang ichchaya pattabbang. This desire is not fulfilled. Idampi yampi ichchangana labati tampi dukkhang. And because of that, this suffering. And then all this soka parideva dukkha domanasupayasa dhammanang bhikkhave sattanang evang ichcha uppajjati. Aho vatamayang na soka parideva dukkha domanasupayasa dhamma assame. May I not come across all these kinds of mental or physical griefs, and pains. Nachayavata no soka parideva dukkhado manasupayasa dhamma agacheyung. May such pains and griefs may not come to me. Nakhopanetang ichhaya pattabang. This desire is not fulfilled. Idampi yampi ichchanga labati tampi dukkhang. And the resultant dukkha. Katame cha bhikkhave sankittena panchupadana khanda dukkha. And now about these five aggregates. The attachment towards five aggregates. Sayyatitang rupupadana khandu. Vedana upadana khandu. Sanya upadana khandu. Sankhara upadana khandu. Vinyana upadana khandu. These five aggregates and the attachment to these five aggregates, these aggregates which become object of attachment, clinging, ime vuchanti bhikkhave sankittena panchupadana khanda dukkha. This is the misery of the attachment to these five aggregates. Idang vucchati bhikkhave dukkhang ariya satchang. This is the description of the first noble truth of dukkha. But all this description, again, just reading the scripture, just accepting it because of devotion, just accepting it because of intellectual understanding, because of rationalizing, does not help. Yatha bhuta pajanati. One has to experience it and experience it to its final limit. And this is the whole process of the Eightfold Noble Path. This is the whole process of Vipassana. By observing Sila, you try to concentrate your mind so that you can understand the subtler reality. Concentrate your mind, and then you start observing the reality pertaining to these five khandas, the six sense doors, how things are working. And you keep on observing them. Initially you come across something which is obviously very painful. You come across very solidified, intensified, painful sensations, gross sensations. Obvious, one can say this is dukkha. But this dukkha also has to be observed. If you keep on reacting to this dukkha, then you are multiplying your dukkha. You are multiplying your misery. The training is you observe it. And just understand, this is dukkha, very apparent dukkha. This is dukkha. And as you observe equanimously, the law of nature is such, it starts getting divided, dissected, disintegrated, dissolved. One comes to the stage where there are nothing but mere vibrations. Even if the unpleasant, painful sensation remains, a good student of Vipassana will experience an undercurrent of vibration passing through that unpleasant sensation. And this unpleasant sensation, wherever it is, actually by experience one knows that it is broken up by these wavelets. These vibrations, subtle vibrations throughout the body, they are there. And even on this part, wavelet, then this misery does not look like misery. And later on, this also goes away. And the only flow of very subtle vibrations, piti, oh wonderful, this is very pleasant. And if one takes that as freedom from misery, freedom from dukkha, one has not covered the entire field of dukkha. Because this is still the field of anicca, arising, passing. One keeps on observing. One finds that this is a changing phenomenon. And changing phenomenon, there cannot be any real happiness in it. Whatever I feel very pleasant now, sooner or later that passes away. And again, not that once one has experienced bhanga, it does not mean that for the entire life one will always remain in bhanga. The first experience of bhanga, total dissolution, is very important, just to realize the truth that the entire material structure which looks so solidified is actually nothing but subatomic particles arising, passing. This reality has to be realized. For that, this station is important. But this does not mean that people who have reached that stage will not experience unpleasant sensation again. They will not experience gross sensations again, due to many reasons. Partly because of the past sankharas of that type, which is not totally gone away. They will come on the surface, which are very deep. Partly because of different other reasons. You are sitting in a particular posture. You got certain accident because of that. You got certain illness because of that. You are experiencing. These things keep coming. And then you realize that whatever I experienced, the bhanga which was so pleasant to me, look, it was not eternal. One reason or the other, it has gone away. And now again, unpleasant has come. Oh, so this is not the eternal pleasant experience. And something which is not eternal pleasant experience is not a source of happiness for me. Certainly, the dukkha, inherent dukkha is there. And the inherent dukkha lies in its nature of impermanence, changing. Like this one keeps on observing, moving towards the field of entire suffering. One reaches the stage, as we discussed the other day, passaddhi, tranquility, deep tranquility. There seems to be no dukkha, nothing unpleasant. It is so tranquil, so peaceful. But one has not completed the entire field, because this field is still the field of mind and matter, and this tranquility, in this tranquility also there is arising, passing. One keeps on accepting this also as a field of dukkha, because it is anicca, arising, passing, and somebody who has experienced that passaddhi, it is not that for all the life now this person will always remain in that passaddhi, in this tranquility. Again, one will come to a gross experience. That passaddhi is gone, that tranquility is gone. These coming, going, all that field of coming, going, samudaya dhamma, vai dhamma, samudaya dhamma, vai dhamma, is not a field of real happiness. When it transcends that entire field and experience something which is beyond mind and matter, where nothing arises. Wherever something arises, something happens, it is not eternal. Sabbe sankhara anicca. Whatever gets created, whatever gets composed, is bound to get destroyed. Is bound, sooner or later, is bound to get decomposed. This is law of nature. But one reaches the stage which is beyond mind and matter, where nothing gets created, nothing arises. Once one has experienced that, then one can say, oh yes, I have explored the entire field of dukkha. Otherwise not. So from very gross dukkha, one cannot say that this is Arya Satya, this is a noble truth. It's a beginning of noble truth. But the actual noble truth is exploring the entire field, parinyatang, parijanati. The entire field has been explored with direct experience. Then the next, samudaya satyam, katamang cha bhikkhave dukkha samudaya Arya Satyam. What is this arising of misery? Yayang tanaha ponubhavika nandi raga sahagata. The craving which keeps on giving life after life, nandi raga sahagata, craving with pleasure, desire. Tatra tatra abhinandani, taking pleasure here and there, like kama tanaha, bhava tanaha, vibhav tanaha. These are the three major cravings. One is kama tanha. Any small little desire, how quickly it turns into craving. And especially kama tanha, the sexual desire. All the sensual desires turn into deep craving. Sexual desire is most predominant of all the other desires. Kama tanha, bhava tanha, then a desire to live. Even though the body passes away, I must continue. The body passes away, I must continue. And somebody tells in my ears, well look, the truth is that the body keeps on dying, but you won't die. You will remain eternal. This philosophy, oh wonderful, I will remain eternal. Because one wants to remain eternal. Tremendous amount of attachment towards this I. This I should not get destroyed. Everything else may destroy. The entire universe keeps on destroying. Doesn't matter. I must remain. I must remain in this life or in next life or any number of life, but I must remain. This is bhavatanaha. Tremendous amount of craving towards the bhava, becoming, must remain. This should not be destroyed. I should not be destroyed. This is bhavatanaha. And the third is vibhavatanaha, opposite to that. In two ways, vibhavatanaha. One vibhavatanaha is one wants this circle of life and death, life and death. They should stop. There should not be any more life. And you crave so much for this, no more life, no more life, no more life. You become so unbalanced because of this tanha. You can't reach the stage where you are free from this no more life, free from new lives. Or vibhav tanha in the sense that in those days and today also, there is a belief, a philosophy that from the birth, this birth to the end of this life, to the death, this is the only existence. Nothing before, nothing afterwards. One fears all these unwholesome actions that I have taken in this life, if these unwholesome actions continue life after life, oh, this is too much for me. So if better somebody says there is nothing after this life, then doesn't matter whatever I've done. At least after the death, I am liberated from misery. After death, I will get liberated from misery. So one doesn't want to accept the fact that the misery will continue so long as these sankharas are there. This is vibhav tanha. You want to come out of this belief of death after death, birth after death, birth after death, birth, and this misery continuing. And this craving, this clinging makes one very unbalanced. All these three are the reasons for the dukkha to arise, dukkha samudayam. Sakho panesa bhikkhave tanaha katha upajyamana upajyati. This craving, where it arises, katha nivisamana nivisati, where it stays, yangaloke piyarupam satarupam, in the loka, which is pleasant. There, itthe satanaha upajyamana upajyati, ittha nivisamana nivisati, in the loka. Now what is loka? One meaning of this word loka is different planes. The human plane, the animal plane, the lower planes, the hell plane, and then different heaven planes and Brahmanic planes. And all these different planes are called loka. But Buddha does not mean loka about these planes, the universe. He says all the lokas are within this framework of your own body. One incident, someone by the name of Rohita, he passes in front of the Buddha's monastery. Buddha is sitting at the gate, somebody is walking on the road and singing a song and walking. We find in the Vedic scriptures the name of the same person, Rohita, and the song, Charai Veti, keep walking. What Charai Veti? What walking? And he says, sir, I walk so that I can explore the entire field of loka, all the planes, and I will go beyond that. And Buddha smiled, mad fellow, by walking, you cannot go out of all the universe. Understand, the entire universe is within this framework of your body. The arising of universe is within. The cause of the arising of the universe is within. The cessation of this universe is within. The way to reach the stage of cessation of the universe is within. All within. And that is why the practice of coming out of the misery is done within the framework of the body, not outside. Because loka is within the framework of the body. Literal meaning of the word loka, lujjati, palujjati iti loka. What that's something which gets destroyed all the time. It arises, passes away, is loka. And the entire field of mind and matter, arising, passing. So this is loka. And in another way we can understand loka, within this framework of the body itself, whenever one performs a sankhara, which is a very unwholesome sankhara, say a sankhara which will lead us to the hell plane, you experience it. As you plant that seed, you experience the hellfire, you generate anger and you experience that hellfire. And when the fruit of that comes, again it comes as a hellfire within, the hellfire is within. Similarly, you plant a seed of a pleasant feeling of a particular plane, a plane of heaven, some particular heaven, and then you feel, as you plant that seed, you feel so pleasant. And as the fruit comes, it is so pleasant. Similarly, Brahmanic plane, you plant a seed, so much of tranquility. As you plant that, so much of tranquility. As the fruit comes, so much of tranquility. And beyond the entire universe, these different planes, the Nibbanic stage, where nothing arises, nothing passes away, is also within the framework of the body, and one has to experience it within the framework of the body. So he says, where actually the craving arises, and he says within this loka, within this framework of the body. Wherever within this framework of the body one feels pleasant, there the craving arises. And then he gives details. Chakkhungaloke piyarupang satarupang. This eye sense door. Etthaisa tanaha upajjamana upajjati ettha nivisamana nivisati. When there is something pleasant, because of something coming in contact with the eye sense door, if it is something pleasant, then there the craving arises, and there the craving stage. And similarly, sotanga loke, the ear, ghananga loke, the nose, jivva loke, the tongue, kayo loke, the body, and mano loke, the mind, piya rupang, sata rupang, etthaisa tanaha upajjamana upajjati, ethani visamana nivisati. And these 6 doors and their 6 respective objects, and they are also similarly when one finds something pleasant in those objects, rupa loke, saddha loke, gandha loke, rasa loke, photabha loke, dhamma loke, in all these 6 respective objects of the 6 sense doors, there one feels pleasant. Piya rupang, sata rupang, etthaisa tanaha upajjamana upajjati, ettha nivisamana nivisati. And then further details. Chakku viññānaga loke. You see, these 6 sense organs have different viññāna. When we say the 4 aggregates of the mind, viññāna, sanya, vedana, sankhara, for general description is all right. When you go in detail, then the viññāna of chakku, the consciousness of chakku is separate from the consciousness of ear, is separate from the consciousness of the nose, or consciousness of the tongue, or the consciousness of the body skin, or the consciousness of the mind. They are all different. As you go deeper in meditation of vipassana, these are very high stages, one thing keeps on lingering, that look, everything is arising, passing, but one who is observing, he remains, he is always there. Something happens at the eyes, one observes, one who is observer is there. At the ear, at the nose, at the tongue, at the body, at the mind, the observer is there. So this observer, this viññāna, this is eternal. And this is how philosophy started. This viññāna is atta, is soul. There was a traditional philosophical belief in those days which said, Je viññāya te aya. Whatever is viññāna, this is soul. And Je aya te viññāya. And whatever is soul is viññāna. Because one could not divide and dissect this vijnana also separately, one was always under the impression, even at the deeper level, that the same vijnana is looking, the same vijnana is hearing, the same vijnana is smelling, etc. But as you go still deeper, 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 you find they are totally different. One is totally different from the other. The vijnana that is with the eyes cannot hear. The vijnana with the ear cannot see. And this difference, one can stop. The ear vijnana can stop. The eye vijnana can stop. These 5 vijnanas on the body can stop, and still the mano vijnana, the mind vijnana will remain, mind consciousness will remain. And when that mind consciousness also stops, then only nibbana comes. So all that are much deeper details, and because of that he explains here, Chakku vijnananga loke, Sota vijnananga loke, Ghana vijnananga loke, Jivva vijnananga loke, Kaya vijnananga loke, Mano vijnananga loke. When these 6, each separately, one feels pleasant about them, then itthe satanaha upajjamana upajjati ittha nivisamana nivisati. And then chakku sampasso loge, the contact at the eye, sota sampasso loke, ghana sampasso loke, jivva sampasso loke, kaya sampasso loke, mano sampasso loke, piyarupang satarupang, itthe satanaha upajjamana upajjati, ittha nivisamana nivisati, the contact at these 6 sense doors. Chakku sampassaja vedana loke, then because of this contact, whatever vedana arises, the sensation arises, Chakku sampassaja vedana loke, sota sampassaja vedana loke, ghana sampassaja vedana loke, jivva sampassaja vedana loke, kaya sampassaja vedana loke, mano sampassaja vedana loke, piyarupang satarupang, itthe satanaha upajjamana upajjati, ittha nivisamana nivisati. This is where the tanha rises and stays. Then rupa sanya loke, the valuation of it, the perception of it, rupa sanya loke, saddha sanya loke, gandha sanya loke, rasa sanya loke, photabha sanya loke, dhamma sanya loke, piyarupang satarupang, itthe satanaha uppajjamana uppajjati, ittha nivisamana nivisati. Then rupa sanchetana, sanchetana is sankhara, synonym of sankhara. Rupa sanchetana loke, saddha sanchetana loke, gandha sanchetana loke, rasa sanchetana loke, photabha sanchetana loke, dhamma sanchetana loke, piyarupang satarupang, itthe satanaha upajjamana upajjati, ittha nivisamana nivisati. And then the objects of these 6 sense doors, Rupa tanaha loke, saddha tanaha loke, gandha tanaha loke, rasa tanaha loke, photabha tanaha loke, dhamma tanaha loke, piyarupang satarupang, itthe satanaha uppajjamana uppajjati, ittha nivisamana nivisati. Then rupa vitakko, when this object becomes an object of your thought, that means the thought starts with this object. You come in contact with this object and then the thought starts on this object. So rupa vitakko loke, saddha vitakko loke, gandha vitakko loke, rasa vitakko loke, photabha vitakko loke, dhamma vitakko loke, piyarupang satarupang, itthe satanaha uppajjamana uppajjati, ittha nivisamana nivisati. And then as soon as the object comes in contact, that becomes the object of your thought, and you start rolling in that thought. Vitakko is the beginning of the thought, the object which makes you start thinking. And then vicharo, you start rolling in it. Rupa vicharo loke, saddha vicharo loke, gandha vicharo loke, rasa vicharo loke, photabha vicharo loke, dhamma vicharo loke, piyarupang satarupang, itthe satanaha uppajjamana uppajjati, ittha nivisamana nivisati. This is where the craving arises and stays. Idang vuchyati bhikkhave dukkha samudayang ariya satchang. This is what is called dukkha samudaya, arising of the dukkha. Tanaha, craving, is the arising of the dukkha. We can say, just for general understanding, that the dukkha the cause of dukkha is tanha, craving. Yes, it is true. But samudaya, as the craving arises, so the dukkha arises. The misery arises simultaneously with your craving. It is not that first the craving arises and later on you start suffering. Samudaya, it arises simultaneously. And then the third, nirodha satyam. Katamancha bhikkhave dukkha nirodhang ariya satyam. What is this dukkha nirodha? Noble truth. Yo tassayeva tanahaya. This craving, when it becomes asesa viraga nirodho, chago, patinissaggo, mutti, analayo, it totally eradicated. Sakho panesa bhikkhave tanaha kattha pahiyamana pahiyati, and where it gets totally eradicated, kattha nirujjhamana nirujjati, where it does not arise again at all. Yangaloke piyarupang satarupang ethessa tanaha pahiyamana pahiyati etha nirujjhamana nirujjati. This loke, mind and matter, in the field of mind and matter it arises, it stays, and we have to work in the field of mind and matter for this total eradication. Kinchiloke piyarupang satarupang. Then again the whole thing about the cessation also, the same spheres, mind and matter. Chakkhuloke piyarupang satarupang ethessa tanaha pahiyamana pahiyati etha nirujjhamana nirujjati. And like this chakkhu, the eyes, so sotangaloke, ghanangaloke, jivvaloke, kayoloke, manoloke, all these six sense doors, piyarupang satarupang ethessa tanaha pahiyamana pahiyati etha nirujjhamana nirujjati. This is where it gets eradicated totally. Rupaloke, saddaloke, gandhaloke, rasaloke, photabbaloke, then the objects. Dhammaloke, piyarupang, satarupang, ethessa tanaha, pahiyamana, pahiyati, etha nirujjhamana, nirujjati. Total cessation on the sense doors and the objects, relative objects. Then chakkhu vinyanagaloke, sota vinyanagaloke, ghana vinyanagaloke, Jivva vinyanagaloke, kaya vinyanagaloke, mano vinyanagaloke, all these six vinyanas, six consciousness, piyarupang, satarupang, ethessa tanaha, pahiyamana, pahiyati, etha nirujjhamana, nirujjati. Then the contact, chakkhu sampasso loke, sota sampasso loke, ghana sampasso loke, jivva sampasso loke, kaya sampasso loke, mano sampasso loke, piyarupang satarupang ethessa tanaha pahiyamana pahiyati etha nirujjhamana nirujjati. And then the sensation that arises because of this contact. Chakkhu sampassaja vedana loke, sota sampassaja vedana loke, ghana sampassaja vedana loke, jivva sampassaja vedana loke, kaya sampassaja vedana loke, mano sampassaja vedana loke, piyarupang satarupang ethessa tanaha pahiyamana pahiyati etha nirujjhamana nirujjati. Then the sanya, the six sanyas. Rupa sanya loke, saddha sanya loke, gandha sanya loke, rasa sanya loke, photabha sanya loke, dhamma sanya loke, piyarupang satarupang ethessa tanaha pahiyamana pahiyati etha nirujjhamana nirujjati. And then sanchetana, that means the sankhara. Rupa sanchetana loke, saddha sanchetana loke, gandha sanchetana loke, rasa sanchetana loke, photabha sanchetana loke, dhamma sanchetana loke, piyarupang satarupang ethessa tanaha pahiyamana pahiyati etha nirujjhamana nirujjati. Then the craving towards these objects, rupa tanaha loke, saddha tanaha loke, gandha tanaha loke, rasa tanaha loke, photabha tanaha loke, dhamma tanaha loke, piyarupang satarupang ethessa tanaha pahiyamana pahiyati etha nirujjhamana nirujjati. Then the objects, the starting of the object, starting of the thought. Rupa vitakko loke, saddha vitakko loke, gandha vitakko loke, rasa vitakko loke, photabha vitakko loke, dhamma vitakko loke. The thought is in relation to these five objects when they come in contact with the five sense doors, And if they are not coming in contact with the five sense doors, then the mind starts either remembering or starts thinking of the future related to these five things. That is Dhamma vitakko loke. Piyarupang satarupang etthessa tanaha pahiyamana pahiyati ettha nirujjhamana nirujjati. Rupa vicharo loke, saddha vicharo loke. Now the continuous thinking of that object. Rupa vicharo loke, saddha vicharo loke, gandha vicharo loke, rasa vicharo loke, potabba vicharo loke, dhamma vicharo loke, piyarupang satarupang etthessa tanaha pahiyamana pahiyati ettha nirujjhamana nirujjati evam vucchati bhikkhave dukkha nirodhang ariya satchang. All these minute details. For a Vipassana meditator of this stage, it is totally impossible. At very high stages, when one reaches the stage of Anagami, coming to the stage of Arahant, then threadbare, every little thing is separate, and you understand how it arises now, related to this particular sense door, how it arises now, related to this particular object of the sense door, and how it arises now, related to the sanya, related to the sanchetana, the sankhara, and how, look, it gets seized, related to this, related to that, like this, dividing it, dissecting it to such great detail at a very high stage. At this stage, till one has reached the stage of Sotapanna, even at the stage of Sotapanna, we work with a reality which is much deeper, but still not that deeper as it takes us to the stage when one becomes an Arahant. So in this stage where one is going to become a Sotapanna, this much is enough that, look, there is a sensation, and look, because of that sensation, I have started craving or I have started hating. And look, I am not craving, I am not hating, I am understanding it's an anicca, it's good enough. This starts purifying. You have not understood the detail such minutely. Whether this particular sensation is because of the contact of the ear sense door, or eye sense door, or nose sense door, or body sense door, or mind sense door, and whether it is because of sanya, or whether all those details comes as you go deeper. And here, the teaching is a complete teaching for people who have to reach and who are going to reach. Amongst those who were listening, quite a few were such that they would have covered the first Nibbanic stage, the second Nibbanic stage, or they were working on the third Nibbanic stage, or maybe working on the fourth Nibbanic stage, all those details. And when one actually works on them, then it becomes much more detailed. Magga Satchan. Katamang cha bhikkhave dukkha nirodhagamini patipada ariya satchang. And what is the path? Ayameva ariyo atangiko maggo, this eightfold noble path. Samma ditti, samma sankappo, samma vacha, samma kammanto, samma ajivu, samma vayamu, samma sati, samma samadhi. This eightfold. Katama cha bhikkhave samma ditti. What is this samma ditti? Right understanding. Yanko bhikkhave dukkhe jnanam, dukkha samudaye jnanam, dukkha nirodhe jnanam, dukkhang nirodhagaminiya patipadaya jnanam. The wisdom, these four wisdoms. The wisdom of the misery. That means the total wisdom related to misery. The wisdom pertaining to the arising of misery. The wisdom pertaining to the cessation of that misery. And the wisdom pertaining to the path of that misery. When all these four are experienced, then we say that the ditti is samma ditti. In those days, there was samyak darshan, samma darshan, samma ditti. It is not a philosophy. If these four are just taken as a philosophy or a belief, then it is not samma ditti. Samma ditti becomes samma ditti because you experience this. Pajanati, yatha bhuta pajanati, all these four, yatha bhuta pajanati, then it becomes samma ditti, and then it takes you to the final goal of full liberation. Samma katamo cha bhikkhave samma sankappo. What are the right thoughts? Nekhamma sankappo.
Abhyapad sankappu, avihinsa sankappu, the thoughts of renunciation, the thoughts of free from anger, the thoughts free from violence. Ayang vucchati bhikkhave samma sankappu, katamacha bhikkhave samma vacha, musavada veramani, pisunaya vachaya veramani, farusaya vachaya veramani, sampappalapa veramani, ayang vucchati bhikkhave samma vacha. This is the right speech. Now understand, all these are to be yatha bhut pajanati. This must happen in life. If you just accept that this is samma vacha, to be free from, or to abstain from speaking lies, that means you just accept that one must be abstaining from speaking lies. No, you have to experience that, look, I am abstaining from speaking lies. Now I am living a life where I am not speaking anything lie, anything false. Or now I am living a life where I am not speaking anything which is hurting others, backbiting or slanderous thought. All that must be experienced. If you are not experiencing them, if you are not passing through them, if they are not happening, yatha bhutang, if they are not happening in life, then it's not samma. Then it is only miccha, only your intellectual game or your emotional game. It doesn't work. Katamocha bhikkhave samma kammantu. Then panatipata veramani, adinnadana veramani, kamesu michchachara veramani. At the body level, all those abstinence of unwholesome actions like killing or stealing or sexual misconduct, that also must happen. You must live a life that, look, I am living a life now where I don't kill and I am experiencing it, pajanati. And look, I am living a life where there is no more stealing or where there is no more sexual misconduct. And this must be lived, experienced, then pajanati. Katamocha bhikkhave samma ajivu, right livelihood. Ida bhikkhave ariya savako michcha ajivang pahaya. All that which is unwholesome livelihood are taken away. And then samma ajivena jivitang kappeti ayang vucchati bhikkhave samma ajivu. Katamocha bhikkhave samma vayamu. What is the proper efforts? Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu anupannanang papakanang akusalanang dhammanang anuppadaya chandang janeti vayamati viriyang arabati chittang paghanati padahati. Whatever impurity has not arisen, one doesn't allow them to arise. Uppannanang papakanang akusalanang dhammanang pahanaya chandang janeti vayamati viriyang arabati chittang paghanati padahati. And whatever unwholesome things have arisen, one takes them out. And the anupannanang kusalanang dhammanang uppadaya chandang janeti vayamati viriyang arabati chittang paghanati padhati. Whatever wholesome things has arisen, has not arisen, one tries to make them arise. And then uppannanang kusalanang dhammanang titya asammosaya bhiyo bhavaya vipullaya bhavanaya paripuriya chandang janeti vayamati viriyang bharabati chittang paghanati padahati. Whatever wholesome things have arisen, one tries to retain them and multiply them, and this is the stage where it is totally fulfilled. Ayang vucchati bhikkhave samma vayamu. Then katamacha bhikkhave samma sati. What is the right sati? Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu kayanupassi viharati atapi sampajano satima vinayaloke abhijya dhomanassang vedanasu vedananupassi viharati atapi sampajano satima vinayaloke abhijya dhomanassang chitte chittanupassi viharati atapi sampajano satima vinayaloke abhijya dhomanassang Dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati atapi sampajano satima vinayaloke abhijya dhomanassang ayang vucchati bhikkhave samma sati. Wherever he has given description of sati, what is sati, he repeats this all satipatthana, all the four. And that shows that sati is no sati unless sampajana is there with it. Without sampajana, just awareness, it will be awareness of a circus girl walking on a tightrope. One has no wisdom, one has no understanding of arising and passing, one is not experiencing the sensation at the level of arising and passing, and it is not sampajano. So sampajano is so important along with sati, then only sati becomes sati, then it is samma sati, otherwise it's ordinary sati. Katamocha bhikkhave samma samadhi. What is samma samadhi then? Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu viviccheva kamehi viviccha akusalehi dhammehi Saivitakkam, Saivicharang, Vivekajang, Piti Sukhang, Pathamang, Janang, Upsampajya Viharati. In the first absorption, there are objects of thought and there are thought, and the mind remains concentrated. And there is a lot of rapture on the body, pleasant sensation on the body. That is first jhana. And then vitakka vicharanang vupasama. Now the thoughts and the objects of thoughts have gone away. There is no more thought. Ajjattang sampasadanang chetasago ekodi bhavu evitakkang evicharang samadhijang. And with the stage where there is no more thought, and when there is this pleasant sensation on the body and on the mind, piti sukhang dutiyang jhanang upsampajya viharati. This is the second. And the third, pitiya cha viraga upekkako cha viharati sato cha sampajano. And this mental pleasantness goes away, and there is only pleasant sensation on the body, which is a sensation, pleasant sensation of the concentration of the mind. Sato cha sampajano sukhang cha kayena patisambedi yang yang ariya achinkhati. In this third jhana, absorption dhyana, he uses the word sampajano. Now understand, even before Buddha became Buddha, the concentration samadhis were there in India, and he went and learned from those two teachers, the 7 jhanas and the 8 jhanas. Now he's talking of 4 jhana only. In these 4 jhanas, there was no sampajano, and that is why one could not go to the depth of the reality of arising and passing away. And that is why one could not take out the deep-rooted impurities of the mind. The surface and slightly deeper impurities were taken away by those jhanas, but still the deep-rooted ones remain, which are responsible for some more lives. And the life continuum continues because of those deep-rooted sankharas, their roots are there. Now he added sampajana to it. And in the 3rd jhana, when the absorption samadhi of 3rd jhana is there, sampajana is there. Although the 5 sense doors stop, but the vijnana is there. And one is observing this vijnana, and in this vijnana there is arising, passing, arising, passing, arising. Sampajana is there. But going further, sukhasya pahana, dukkhasya pahana. Now there is no more sukha, there is no more dukkha. Pubbeva somanasya domanasang atthangama. Neither there is pleasant, unpleasant feeling on the mind. Ad-dukkham, as-sukham. Now it is tranquility. Ad-dukkham, as-sukham, upekha. There is only equanimity. Ad-dukkham, as-sukham, upekha, satipari, suddhang, total purification. Chatutha jhanang upsampajya viharati. One gets absorbed in the 4th jhana. And the sampajana word is not used here in the 4th jhana. That means the 4th jhana comes with the nibbanic stage. And nibbanic stage, not the 1st or the 2nd or the 3rd, the nibbanic stage of the arhat. The arhats, the 4th nibbanic stage, when it comes with the 4th jhana, it is together. The absorption of the jhana and the absorption of the nibbana, they come together. And this was the contribution of Buddha for all the different types of meditation, practices of samadhi which was prevalent there. He added this sampajana to take one beyond the entire field of mind and matter to experience the nibbanic stage. Iti ajjattangava dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati. Then the same stations he again repeats. Bahiddava dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati. Ajjatta bahiddava dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati. Samuday dhammanupassi dhammesu viharati. Vai dhammanupassi dhammesu viharati. Samuday vai dhammanupassi dhammesu viharati. Outside, inside, both outside, inside. Arising, passing, both arising, passing. And then, atti dhammati. Oh, this is dhamma. Va panassa sati pachupathita huti. The awareness gets established in the truth of dhamma, nothing but dhamma. Yavadeva jnanamattaya patisatimattaya anissito cha viharati. Nacha kinchi loke upadiyati. No clinging, there is nothing to cling. Evam pikho bhikkhave bhikkhu dhamme sudhammanupasye biharati chatusu arya satchesu. He gives this explanation of dhamme sudhammanupasye, but all these have to be experienced. We read this, we try to understand it, but it is only our experience. As you go deeper, the same very words will become so clear to you. Oh, this is what Buddha meant. As you go further, oh, this is what Buddha meant. Oh, this is what Buddha meant. And when you reach the stage of arahanthood, then everything is so clear, so clear. So clear by experience, not by reading just the scriptures. And then satipatthana bhavana nisanso, the benefit of the satipatthana. Yo hi kochi bhikkhave ime chattaro satipatthane. Any meditator practices this four satipatthana. Evang bhaveya, practices exactly as I want them to practice, like this, in this way. Then sattavassani, in 7 years. Tas dvinnang phalanang anyattarang phalang patikankang. One of these two stages one reaches by practicing 7 years as he says, as he wants us to practice. What two stages? Dittheva dhamme anya, the total understanding of the truth, that means the arahant stage, the final stage. Or sativa upadisese anagamita, or the stage just before the arahant stage, anagami stage, which is just before the arahant stage. At least these two, the third or the fourth stage one reaches by practicing 7 years. Practicing 7 years. Many questions do come. I have been practicing for more than 7 years and I have not become an arahant. No, as he wants us to practice. And this as he wants us to practice is sampajanyang nairinchati. Not for a moment you miss sampajanya. So now you are making preparation to reach the stage where you can actually practice as he wants you to practice. You are trying to reach the stage where you don't miss your sampajanya, doing everything in life. While you are practicing meditation, everything that you do at the physical level, sampajanya is there, sampajanya is there. You feel the sensation, you understand arising, passing. Then here is Buddha, an enlightened person who gives you guarantee that within 7 years, you are going to become either anagami or you are going to become arahant. And then he says, not that, not only that, tittantu bhikkhave, leave aside 7 years. Leave aside, tittantu bhikkhave sattavasani, forget about 7 years. Yohi kochi bhikkhave ime chattaro satipatthane evanga bhave chayavassani, even in 6 years. And then he says even panchavassani, 5 years. Chattari vassani, 4 years. Tini vassani, 3 years. Dvevassani, 2 years. Ekang vassang, even in 1 year one can reach the final goal. And then he said, tittattu bhikkhave ekang vassang. You forget this 1 year even. Yei kochi bhikkhave ime chattaro satipatthane evanga bhaveya sattamasani, 7 months. Tassadvinnang phalanang anyattarang phalang patikankang dittheva dhamme anya sativa upadisese anagamita, either arahant or anagami. Then says, tittantu bhikkhave sattamasani. Oh, you won't forget this 7 months. Yohi kochi bhikkhave ime chattaro satipatthane evang bhaveya 6 masani, 6 months. Panchamasani, 5. Chattari masani, 4. Tini masani, 2 masani, ekang masang, 1 month. Addhamasang, half month. Tittattu bhikkhave addhamaso. Oh, what half month. Yohi kochi bhikkhave ime chattaro satipatthane evang bhaveya sattahang, just 7 days. Tassa dvinnang phalanang anyattarang phalang patikankang dittheva dhamme anya sativa upadisese anagamita. Now understand why he says 7 years and then he comes to 7 days. It depends from person to person. One may be practicing the same thing. Sampajanyang na rinchati, not for a moment. One has reached the stage where one does not miss sampajanyam even for a moment. Day and night, continuous. One has to take 7 years to reach the stage, reach Arhant stage. One is practicing exactly as he wants him to practice. The other person can finish it in 7 months. One can finish it in 7 days. Why? Because of the old accumulation. Different people have different accumulation of the past. Even one has reached the stage where every moment one is aware with sampajano. By that, one is eradicating deep-rooted sankharas at a very deep level. But if the stock is too much, it takes time. May take 7 years, may take 7 months, may take 7 days. There had been instances where it happened within about half an hour. Like this person who went all the way from Bombay and he wanted to learn Dhamma, and Buddha gave him Dhamma. Ditthe, dittamattang bhavishyati, and observe, seeing there must be only seeing, in listening there must be only listening. And he was so perfect because he has worked so much in previous lives, so much practice was there, and the impurity was so little that within a few minutes he worked there and he is the stage of Arhant. So it depends from person to person, but still the technique remains the same. All these practices, whether one gives importance to body and whether one starts by this walking, we don't condemn all those things, understand? Somebody has started somewhere, one is just walking, and one even repeating mentally, I am walking. Doesn't matter. It's a beginning. Beginning for somebody who can't observe the breath, who can't observe any sensation, let him start like that. I am eating, I am walking. And when sensation starts, if there's itching. These are just beginners, because at least you know what's happening. There's itching going on. All right, you say itching, your mind gets concentrated. No panya is involved. Panya comes, sampajanya comes only when there is itching and you understand the arising and passing. The sampajanya comes only when you are walking and there is a sensation arising and passing. Sampajanya is missing. Only sati is there. But doesn't matter. It's a beginning. You go to a kindergarten school and you start like that. And then you proceed further. And you make your doctorate. It takes time. Whatever you do, the aim should be very clear. That from wherever you start, whether you go to a cemetery and if you are mad after the sex desires, then better go to a cemetery. Nowadays you don't have such cemeteries where you get the dead bodies. You can go to a mortuary in a hospital, see the dead body there being dissected and all that. And looking that, you start thinking that yes, my body also will become like this, or so-and-so's body will also become like this. At least you are balancing your mind to some extent. And then you proceed from this or that. Doesn't matter according to your requirement. But you have to come to the stage where sampajanya. The sensations, that means you are experiencing them, arising, passing. For a few seconds you are aware, then you forget, maybe for minutes together. Then few seconds you are there, you forget for minutes together, maybe hours together. This is how you work. And then working, then you forget for small time only. And you reach the stage where you don't forget even for a moment. It may take long time, one cannot say. Once you reach the stage where sampajanya naya rinchati, you don't miss it even for a moment. From there onwards, 7 years is the limit. It can be less according to what capacity you have. And then, closing it, ekayano ajanga bhikkhave maggo sattanang visuddhiya. This is the only way of purification of the beings. Shoka parideva nanga samati kamaya. All these griefs, dukkhado manassanangathangamaya, the bodily unpleasant sensations and the mental unpleasant feelings, nyayasa adhigamaya, to walk on the path of liberation, and finally nibbanasa satchikiriyaya, to experience something which is beyond mind and matter, which is eternal. Yadidang chattaro satipattanati. When he says ekayano maggo, now it is not a narrow sectarian way of talking, that because I am saying so, because my sect or my belief is like this, so it is so. This is law of nature. And this law of nature can be experienced by one and all. It is not that one should say that I am a Buddhist and then only this law of nature will start helping you, and then only this technique will start helping you. When we call oneself Buddhist or no Buddhist makes no difference. So long as you understand the reality at the experiential level and you understand how the dukkha samudaya, how the dukkha arises because of these sensations, and you are reacting to these sensations, you become miserable. And how, when you are coming out of it, you are coming out of it, and look how you reach the stage where you are free from these sensations, you go beyond sensations. All that can be experienced by one and all. This is universal law. This is not the law applicable only to those people who have got implicit faith in Buddha or implicit faith in Dhamma or in Sangha. Nothing doing. This is law. A truth, a law of nature. Whether Buddha or no Buddha, the law is always there. Like a person by the name of Galileo, he found out that the earth is round. Before that, people were thinking the earth is flat. Whether there was Galileo or no Galileo, the truth of the earth was that it is round and it is rotating on its own axis. This truth was there even before Galileo, at the time of Galileo or after Galileo. Somebody by the name of Newton found out there is a law of gravity. This law of gravity was there in before Newton or at the time of Newton or before after Newton. Somebody by the name of Einstein found out this law of relativity. It was there even before or at the time or later. Similarly, this law, how misery arises and how it can be eradicated. This law is there. 2 parts of hydrogen, 1 part of oxygen get together, there is moisture. This is law. Not Hindu law, not Buddhist law, nor Christian law. This is the law. This is the nature. Law of nature, universal law of nature. In such planets where there is no oxygen, there is no hydrogen, there is no moisture. There can't be any water. Similarly, wherever there is ignorance, ignorance means one doesn't know what is happening deep inside, one doesn't know that, look, this is misery, and this is how misery arises, this is how it can be eradicated. If one does not know that at the actual level, experiential level, wherever this ignorance is there, and because of this ignorance, if the reaction is going on, reaction of craving, reaction of aversion, the misery is there. This is law. Not Hindu law or Buddhist law or Christian law, this is law. And wherever there is no more avidya, now no more ignorance is there, one is fully aware of things that are happening, and fully with sampajana one is not reacting, one is coming out of it. This is law. The entire thing is to understand the truth of the law of universe, and then make use of it for one's own liberation. If one does not understand it at the actual level, one is not coming out, one is not getting liberated. At the intellectual level, yes, it helps us to give inspiration, to give guidance. If one does not understand even at the intellectual level, one remains so ignorant and so much attached to one's own philosophical belief, this tradition, that tradition, one won't even try to understand. One will keep on saying the earth is flat, I can't believe the earth is round, it is flat, look, it is flat. The whole life one may keep on talking like that. The earth is not going to become flat for him. It is round, it is round. One will say there is no gravity law. It's not going to change for him. Similarly, people having different kinds of views because of this philosophy, this belief, that belief, and they won't even try to understand the truth. Even at the intellectual level, how can they walk on it? How can they explore the truth? How can they realize the truth at the experiential level? That is why it is said, ekayano maggo. The truth is there. The law is there. Which is there not because of our belief. Which is there not because Buddha said so. It is there. This is the law. And one can explore this truth, this law, at the experiential level and find out that, look, this is fire. I place my hand on the fire, it burns. I don't like burning. The law of nature is that wherever there is fire and I keep my hand on that fire or any part of my body on the fire, it burns. It's very unpleasant. If I don't want it, I better keep my hand away from the fire. Exactly law like this. If there is craving, aversion, the sensation is there all the time. From the time one has taken birth till the time one dies, there is the sensation arising, passing, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. And ignorantly one keeps on reacting to them, Misery is there. You can't help it. This is law. And if you stop reacting to it, you just observe arising, passing, you start changing the habit pattern and you are coming out of, this is another law. That is the law which gives you misery. Like the law of the fire, you put your hand on it, it will burn you. You put some water on this fire, the fire gets extinguished and you are free from this misery. The fire is there, the fire of craving, fire of aversion. By practice, you extinguish this fire of craving, fire of aversion, you are out of it. That is how it is. Ekayano makku. The law is one and one for all. The truth is one for all. Nature is one for all. And we have to understand that and live a life in accordance to that. Bhavat Sav Nangalang Bhavat Sav Nangalang